Welcome to Leap into Prosperity. And I mean that literally and figuratively. Today, I'm going to show you a method that I have used to create some really cool stuff in my life. And a lot of our ShiftCo members have used it as well. I'm going to record this for you so you have a copy of it, as well as anybody that couldn't attend today. A little bit of background on ShiftCo trains conscious entrepreneurs how to grow their business and maximize their impact. So what that means is we work with a subset of founders, and that subset are individuals that want to use their business to both make money but also do good. And we're very, very passionate about this work, and we're very effective at this work. I absolutely was born to do this. My background that allows me to help founders grow their business and their impact is I've had multiple business exits. What that means is I've built and sold companies, including having an IPO on the NASDAQ stock exchange. That's an initial public offering. So I was president of an internet subsidiary, and the subsidiary and our parent company went public on the NASDAQ stock exchange. So business growth is my jam. In addition to having that IPO, I sold another business in early 2008 and started over with this crazy idea that there has to be a way to use these business growth skills to make a difference. So I started the equivalent of a purposeful Shark Tank, and that is called Share on Purpose. So that's the holding company for everything that I do. We have a speculator fund. The speculator fund invests in businesses. This is an example of one of those investments. It's the first zero waste makeup and skincare line. It is absolutely amazing. And I invest in that business and help them grow. And then in addition to that, we have what we call the cultivator. And the cultivator creates companies that make the world better, starting first with Succeed on Purpose and then Ignite on Purpose and so on and so forth. ShiftCo was business number 5 that came out of the cultivator. So as you can see, I've created some really cool stuff. And the methodology that I'm going to be introducing you to today that you will actually physically experience is how I've created all of this and created a very prosperous life that where everything that I do makes the world better, but I also make money doing it. And that's really the fun part. So you're participating in a community event. All of our community events are free. And this one is on personal fuel. So personal fuel are things that we're trying to make ourselves better so that we can grow our business. And some of them are business fuel. So Rockin' 2025 is business fuel. It's going to show you a methodology to really accelerate the business strategies. That's on January 7th. And then on January 30th is something called the Success Switch, which is personal fuel. So we always do 2 to 3 events a month. And one of them is always on business and one of them is always on the personal fuel side. So welcome to join any of those. So the question I want to ask you, and I want you to really be honest with yourself. We're about to turn over another year. We've all done this, and we all reflect at the end of the year. We think about what we want different. But I'd like you to reflect, and I'm going to give you a good minute to do that. How could next year be better for you? Would you like to have more time? Maybe your business is taking up too much of your time. Maybe you want to have more clients, or maybe you want to have a more profitable business, or maybe you want to become healthier. Maybe you want a new relationship. It can be personal or professional. But I'm going to wait about a minute and have you really reflect on what that could be. And then I'm going to go through an exercise to show you how to rewire your brain and what I call your prosperity chemistry so that you can create those things. And you're going to actually experience that. So I'm going to give you about a minute to reflect on that. Well, whatever you identified, I'm going to give you first some results, and then I'm going to tell you why this method works, and then you're going to actually do the method with me. So I'd been using this methodology and been testing this methodology for decades. And I began to test it with founders first in Succeed on Purpose and then in Shiftco. And I could really see the difference in Shiftco. So we started Shiftco in 2020. In July of 2021, 53.4% of our members had doubled their business. That's pretty good. When we rolled out the method I'm going to show you today, a year later, that number jumped to 77%. Today, it's close to 85%, and we're just taking another snapshot, and I'm pretty close. I'm pretty sure it's about 85.4% right now. So this ratio, we use this ratio, it dictates everything. We use it to determine what our members need. We evaluate everything that we do quarterly. We change things based on what is going to help our members grow their business. And I want to point to this. We're proud of these results, but I'm not sharing it with you because I'm proud of these results. I'm sharing with you because it's a data point to show you why this method I'm going to introduce you to works. Because the big leap that we had between 2021 and 2022 was introducing this tool. And we make this tool and the training behind this tool available to all of our members. So why Shiftco works is we have this great member success team. They collaboratively work together. You have a team of people you work with that work to support you. There's a diagnostic prescriptive tool to help you identify what's the one thing that you need. But we also place an emphasis on supporting you in moving into what's known as a high performance mindset. When you can move your mind in a certain way, like a high performance athlete would, you can actually hijack the chemistry of your body. And now today I call that a prosperity chemistry. If you do it in a certain way, it really creates a mindset and an energy and an emotional regularity and emotional regulation around abundance. And again, you're going to actually experience that today. If I were to graph this performance mindset out, it requires two things. One is you have to take action to do it. So that's a behavioral. And then there's also the willingness. And in entrepreneurship, there's a certain type of willingness that matters. And what that willingness is being willing to master the art and science of entrepreneurship. So entrepreneurship is a practice. It's not something that you just learn. It's something you become better at and better at and better at. I've been an entrepreneur now for almost 2.5 decades. And I know a lot about how to grow businesses successfully, but I don't know it all. So I'm constantly committed to the craft of entrepreneurship. So it requires both of these. So what blocks willingness? What we found in our research of our 400 members who've used Shiftco is you have to be willing to tackle the aspects of your business that aren't where you want them to be and modify your approach. When you're not doing that, you're stagnant and stuck. And we've all been there. And I've been in pockets of this where I'm just stuck and I just am in a rut and I'm doing the same things over and over again. And I'm not getting results. What happens when you get stagnant or stuck is you get down and you're no longer willing to take the hill. But you also stop taking the action that you need to grow your business. So that, and you get stuck in a loop. And we've all been there. It's just like you're on this treadmill and, again and again, and nothing is really working the way that you want. On the upper left side, that's when you're super willing, but you're afraid. You're in FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt. And when you're willing, which is your willingness is high, but your behavior is you're not taking action, you're stuck, you're overthinking, you're second guessing yourself. Your behavior is not moving things forward. The reverse of that is you're taking lots of action, but it's unfocused and inconsistent. So I'm doing lots of stuff. I'm busy, but I'm not really slowing down enough to be willing to master this bucking bronco of entrepreneurship. The upper right-hand box is where you want to get to. And this method that I'm going to do with you here in a minute, what it does is it shoots you into this box. And in this box, you not only feel the motivation again, and again, you're going to feel it in a minute, but you become motivated to master entrepreneurship. Not that you ever can, but you start to want to tackle. I want to learn how to generate demand. I want to learn how to differentiate my business. I want to learn how to read financials. What's powerful about this method I'm going to introduce you to is it puts you in that mastery quadrant where you become willing and your behavior changes because you're rewiring your chemistry in your body so that you're both motivated and you're taking action. Now, let's test that. So the first question I'm going to ask is, I'm going to take another minute. I'm going to pause the recording, and I want you to think about what it is that you want to create in your business next year. So I'm going to pause the slide, give you about a minute. You can put it in the chat if you want. Or so when you write down a goal, your wiring, first your mental wiring, your amygdala triggers a response, then the prefrontal cortex chimes in, and then that triggers a series of chemical reactions in your body. And you get one of two extremes. Either when you set that goal, and I told you my goal is super aggressive, and there's a part of me that's like, game on, we're doing it. And then there's another part of us, oh, I don't know, maybe it's too big, and should I go for that? We have all these stories that are in our head. So whatever your response is when you said what you really wanted, that's your current stasis of prosperity programming, meaning you've set a governor on your life for what you can actually create. A governor is that thing that doesn't allow a car to go really fast or a bus to go really fast. There's a governor on it. It slows it down. So your current level of wiring, basically you've conditioned your mind and your body to accept a certain level of results. And whether yours are high, like mine, where I've conditioned myself that I'm going to go for big dreams and big goals, or whether they're low and you're second guessing yourself, isn't the point. The point is, wherever you are, you can rewire it to make it significantly better and easier than where it is today. So before I show you how to do that, I'm going to ask you another question. I'm only going to pause for a very short period of time. And that is, what do you think is standing in your way of going big? It's typically one of two things. Either you're not sure what to do differently, or you're not confident that you can do it. So we're going to take about 15 seconds. It could be something else for you to assess what that is. And the purpose of this is to try to elicit a little bit of that chemical response so that we can begin to rewire it. So about 15 seconds to figure out what's standing in your way. What I found with most founders is it's a little bit of both. They're not exactly sure what to do differently, and they're not completely confident that they can do it. And what I have found is we actually have to work on the second part first in order for the first part to be easier. It is not what you learn that causes you to be successful in building a business. It's how much you believe that you can do it. And so this rewiring that you're about to go through, there's a graphic that we use that I'm going to show you, and it's based on lessons from performance science. So elite athletes, are athletes in general are 3 times more likely to be successful as an entrepreneur as non-athletes. When I heard that data point, I was on a advisory board for a startup about 10 years ago that was training college and professional athletes who had gotten out of sports and were starting on entrepreneurial ventures. And we were part of the team growing them. And when I was looking at this research, I was like, oh my gosh, okay, what is it about elite athletes and performance science that causes them to reach these incredible levels? How do they respond to fear and uncertainty? So keep in mind, it's not just what you learn, it's the degree with which you believe that you can do it that actually causes the breakthrough. So pick an athlete in any sport, Simone Biles in gymnastics, Patrick Mahomes in football, could go down the list. They have an ability, they have that intangible thing where they can be facing an impossible situation and they are able to power through it and overcome it. And it is not just what they learn. Yes, they practice. Yes, they have coaches that work with them and mentors that develop them, but they have rewired their brain and their body to respond in a different way. And so I 10 years ago, became fascinated with this data point of the fact that athletes are 3 times more successful as entrepreneurs than non-athletes. And I began to deconstruct what do they do that causes them to rewire their brain and their body so that they can overcome fear and uncertainty. Now, there's a graphic that we use in Succeed on Purpose that I'm going to pull out that kind of encapsulates it, and then I'm going to show you the method. So if you look at this, there's the comfort zone where we feel safe and in control. I'm going to just advance it so you can see it on the screen. And in the comfort zone, we are not, we're not learning, we're not growing. We're basically trying to avoid fear. And so in the comfort zone, I feel safe where I am, I feel in control. The minute I push those boundaries, just like you did a minute ago when I said, what do you want for 2025? And what do you really want to create? And fear starts kicking in, and the amygdala part of your brain starts sending chemical release to your body and to the prefrontal cortex and to your organs that says, ooh, caution, danger, be careful. And that is what is known as the fear zone, where you're now affected by this chemistry. You lack self-confidence. You start making excuses. You're affected by other people's opinions. And you get stuck in this loop that is what holds you back. And it doesn't matter if you have a big goal like I do or a small goal. That's not the point. Everybody has this. And every time I establish a big goal for myself, I feel that fear zone. Well, what I learned from 10 years of testing is if I can switch the brain's fear response and move faster through the fear zone and into the learning zone, that's what performance athletes are doing. So what a performance athlete does is they set a goal. Here's where I want to be. I want to shave, 2 minutes off of my triathlon, rate, or I want to be MVP in the football in the NFL. And they set a goal, and they, just like we do, they feel that fear response. But what they have done is they have a way to hijack their brain and hijack their chemistry to move through that fear zone and get into the learning zone. And that's when they start to say, okay, what do I need to learn to hit that goal? What do I need to learn? And they have created a new wiring system where they move right through the fear zone into the learning zone, and they get themselves in the action. And once they're in the learning zone and they're no longer feeling fear, just think about it. Have you ever been afraid to learn something or do something new, and you started to do it, and the more you gained momentum, and that's why when one of you mentioned momentum, I said that's a big part of this, and you start getting into action and you start learning something new, and the next thing you know, you gain some momentum, boom, away you go. Well, the hijacking that I have deconstructed, which you're going to do in a minute, is a combination of combining a thought with an emotion plus an image, and it will ultimately flip the story and return you to a state of certainty. And it's being in a state of certainty that causes you not to be afraid anymore. And you're going to actually experience that with me here in a minute. So before I do the process with you, I want to describe what a state of certainty is. I trained under Tony Robbins several years ago, almost 2 decades ago, and really learned this state of certainty. And it's an important piece of it. A state of certainty is a relaxed state of trusting. And that's the rewiring that we're going to actually do. where your brain and your body is going to trust that you can do it, and you're going to feel yourself have that occur, combined with an expectation, which is a mental construct that you have the power to create what you want. And again, you're going to experience it for yourself. And so what I learned about this, once I figured out that that's what we have to do, I began experimenting with, well, how do you actually create that state of certainty, this rewiring, this prosperity chemistry that you're going to feel here in a minute, puts you in a relaxed state of trusting. And then you combine it with this expectation that I have the power to create what I want, and you move into a state of certainty. Once you're in a state of certainty, you will take the action necessary to create what it is that you want. Now, all you have to do is learn how to focus, which I'm going to show you how to do, and then practice it. And the practice part is the money part. You need to do it first. You need to do it daily for 1 week, and then 2 weeks, and at least 2 weeks from my research, or close, 3 weeks. And every week that you do it, where you're doing the practice daily, and I'm going to give you the actual practice, every time you do it, you basically rewire your brain and your body a little bit stronger. And the next thing you know, you have momentum, and you're like an elite athlete who's trained their mind and their body to overcome fear and uncertainty and move themselves into a state of certainty. Now, before we do this, I'm going to pause the slide. So now we're going to do it. For those of you that are here live, make sure your camera is off, because you're going to physically do something and it's going to seem kind of weird to do it on camera. For those of you that are listening in after the fact, or listening in on our YouTube page, I want you to physically do what I'm asking you to do, because you need the physical aspect of it to get your mindset and your energy focused in a certain way, like that elite athlete. So it starts first. We have to clear the amygdala, basically. I call it clearing energy, because the amygdala controls parts of our brain and parts of our nervous system. The amygdala is where most of our fear resides. And so we have to clear that out first, because it is currently programmed with a lot of garbage and a lot of negative stories, a lot of I'm not good enough, I don't know if I can, a lot of second guessing, a lot of other people's doubts, a lot of old stories are stuck in the amygdala. So we have to clear that first. And to do that, there's 3 subsets. The first is you have to acknowledge what the negative program is in the amygdala. And the way that you do that is you say out loud, and it is important to say it out loud, the truth is I feel, and then whatever comes up, comes up. So the truth is I feel anxious. The truth is I feel afraid. The truth is I feel tired. I feel drained. And say it just like I said it. The truth is I feel, and then whatever comes up, comes up. So I'm going to give you about 10 seconds to do that. And then I'm going to tell you what comes next. So while I'm telling you what comes next, what's happening right now is when you say the phrase, the truth is I feel, and I would say the truth is I feel tired, the amygdala stops running the program and starts to downshift. So just think about what your brain felt like right when you did it. The truth is I feel. And then when you said the truth is I feel tired, you feel your amygdala start to slow down. What's happening is the amygdala is downshifting, and it's going, oh, it must be time for a new program. And the amygdala is the dumb part of the brain, and it is turning over to the prefrontal cortex. I'm just describing it like it's a living, breathing thing, because it is it's the dumbest part of our brain, but it is the most powerful part of our brain, and it is hijacking our success. So when you say that, when you acknowledge the truth is I feel, the amygdala stops running the program. So you probably felt that downshift, and it turns to the prefrontal cortex. The prefrontal cortex is like the boss of the brain. It's like the general up there. It turns to the prefrontal cortex and says, okay, give me new information. And so now the prefrontal cortex is now turned on. The amygdala is stopped. So it's in neutral. The prefrontal cortex is activated, and it is basically wanting to give you new information. So the second part of this, we're going to breathe in a certain way. We're going to do the first two steps again. The truth is, I feel, pause. You feel that downshifting. And now we take 4 breaths in through the nose and out of your mouth. 1. It kind of takes the edge off. 2. Notice you feel a little lightheaded. That's because your nervous system is now activated. Breath 3. And then breath 4. What we've just done is we've activated the nervous system, and we reset our nervous system. And now we are in a state where we're going to claim a new belief. And the belief that I want you to put in right now, because right now the amygdala is very programmable. Like whatever I put in there right now, the amygdala is going to hold on to. So the new belief we're going to claim is, I am powerful enough to create what I want. Now, right now, you're not going to feel a state of certainty when you do that. What you're doing is you've programmed the amygdala. Okay, so that's the objective with this first step. We want to clear the amygdala and reset it. We want to activate our nervous system through the breath, and we want to put a new belief into the amygdala. That's all we've done, and that's step 1. Step 2 is moving into the present moment. And again, this is going to sound weird, but I just need you to do it with me. So we've programmed the amygdala, and it's in a ready state. Okay. Now the second part of this is our power to create is when we are present. Okay. So that's the power. For this exercise, I want you to stand up. And again, I told you this part was weird. Just humor me. Point to the future. Point to the past. Point to the future. Notice how the future feels. Does it feel scary? Does it feel exciting? Point to the past. Does that feel scary? Does it feel exciting? So most of the time, and our ego sees time as horizontal. So it sees the future in front of us and it sees the past behind us. But this prosperity chemistry, that is not how time works. Instead, stay standing. You are standing on your past. Every mistake that you made, every challenge that you had is preparation. I'm standing on my past. In fact, my past is the freaking rock on which I'm standing right now. It is because of the past that I can go after this goal. Now, see how different the past feels when you reorient it and you place it underneath you. It feels strong. And now the past isn't like a monkey on our back, those old stories anymore. All of those stories, you're standing on those stories. They are the rock on which you stand. Wow, that feels different. And now put your arms up in a V. And now what we want to do is we want to move. The future is now above us. It's not in front of us. You're not chasing your goals out here. When we put our goals in front of us, that's the amygdala's old story. We're chasing our goals. That's the way the amygdala saw it. That's not true. When we place our goal above us, our dreams, those things that we mentioned, the chemistry now starts to align, and it starts to see that goal is not something we are chasing. That goal is something we are aligned to. So just feel that. Feel I'm standing on my past. We've just reset the amygdala. Now what we're doing is we're resetting the body. Okay, so we're resetting the body right now. And as I reset the body, because I've already reprogrammed the amygdala, and I'm now starting to do the rewiring, and now I'm standing on my past, I'm moving up and into the future. And it's really important that you use your arms. I'm not going to get into why that is right now, but it's really important you move your arms up like this and almost kind of lift your head up. And now you're thinking and picturing that goal that you set. You are now in alignment to create what you want. So we've created the alignment. We've reset the amygdala. We've rewired the chemical reaction in our body. And now we're going to actually claim a desire. And the way that you do that is you say, and we have to stay present. So I've got my arms up and you say, I'm so happy and grateful now that I'm financially free. And so say that, and again, see it up here. I'm so happy and grateful now that I'm financially free, or whatever the goal is. And just feel how that feels. Stay standing though, because I'm going to give you one more piece of this. So whatever desire, when you said, I'm so happy and grateful now that, you put your arms up, whatever that desire was, your true desire. Because we reset the amygdala, we rewired the body. Now you're telling yourself your truth. And now it's like, no, I don't want my life to be a little bit better. I want it to be rock star good, or whatever it is. Doesn't matter. Whatever came up when you said, I'm so happy and grateful now that, after we reset the wiring, that's what you really want. It could just be freedom, and whatever came up is no right, no wrong. Whatever came up after you reset your mind and your body, that is your true desire. Now, stay standing, because I want to talk about being in a state of certainty. Being in a state of certainty is a physical act. It is not a mental act. And the old amygdala thought it was a mental act. And we can never feel like we're in a state of certainty. We're always feeling unsure. It is not a mental act. It is a physical act. What athletes do is they move themselves through the fear zone and they get into the learning zone, and they do it with their body. So the way that you do that is 2 steps. One is with your arms up here, this dream that you just put up here. I'm so happy and grateful now that. I want you to get yourself into a state of anticipation. Like, what is it going to feel like? What is it going to look like? And start picturing it like right here on the top of your head. Like, oh my God, now that's cool. Now just kind of move into a couple of Rocky punches. Yeah. Now I'm doing this and I'm boxing out my fear. Feel how your body is starting to react. I'm boxing out my fear. A couple of claps, like you go, a couple of yeah. And picture that. And you're probably feeling chill bumps and things like that. That is your body rewiring itself, and your body is putting your mind in a state of certainty. I'm going to wrap up with one more thought. I'm going to turn the recording off, and then I'm going to answer your questions about that. By the way, this is just a great time to tell you the reason why ShiftCo works is because we work together. And I want to say that if you are interested in joining and learning how to shift like this, we'll show you how to identify the business gap that's holding you back. You'll get training and coaching with experts on that gap, plus a personal mentor, and you'll be in a squad with me personally every 2 weeks. I'll be working with you every 2 weeks. Plus, you're going to get 8 weeks of this method I just showed you, where you will train yourself every single day for 8 weeks solid to completely jumpstart your growth. Keep in mind, this is the thing that caused our results to go up. You will double your revenue. And if you're just starting, we could probably have you to somewhere between 5 to 10K a month within a year. And the membership fee is $235 a month. So if you've been thinking about joining or you're ready to join, now's the time to do it, because you're also going to be getting the 8 weeks of this prosperity challenge, which we don't run all the time. So if you're thinking about doing it, now's the time to do it. One wrap up, and then I'll stop the recording and take questions, is these events are free. Come join us, learn what you can. When you're ready, we would love to have you be part of ShiftCo.